The punt at the bottom of a wine bottle serves no single purpose. It serves at least five, and winemakers have been arguing about which one matters most for 300 years. You've noticed it. Everyone has. That deep conical indent punched up into the base of almost every serious wine bottle. Most people assume it's decorative, or maybe a trick to make the bottle look bigger than it is. Both guesses are wrong, and the real answer is more interesting than either. Here's what you'll actually learn. Why glassblowers invented the punt in the 1600s, how it affects carbonation pressure in sparkling wine, what it does to sediment, why modern winemakers keep it even though the original reason is obsolete, and where the whole thing almost disappeared. The punt starts as a survival feature. Before industrial glassblowing, bottles were made by a glassblower spinning molten glass on the end of a blowpipe. When the bottle was cut free, the pontil rod left a sharp, rough scar on the base. If the bottle sat on that scar, it wobbled. It was unstable. So glassblowers started pushing the base upward while the glass was still soft, folding that scar safely inside the bottle where it couldn't scratch a table or cause the bottle to tip. That's the origin. A manufacturing defect turned into a design feature. The punt exists in the first place because 17th century glassblowers needed a way to hide their own mess. Now, fast forward to the mid-1800s. Champagne is becoming a commercial product in the Champagne region of France. Houses like Moet and Veuve Clicquot are bottling millions of units per year, and they have a problem. The secondary fermentation that creates carbonation in the bottle generates roughly 90 pounds per square inch of internal pressure. For context, a car tire runs at 32 to 35 psi. A champagne bottle at serving temperature is under nearly 3 times that pressure. Standard flat-bottomed bottles of the era were failing. They were exploding in cellars, sometimes taking out dozens of neighboring bottles in a chain reaction. Breakage rates of 20 to 30% were common. The punt solved this mechanically. A concave base distributes stress differently than a flat one. Instead of the pressure pushing against a flat disc, which wants to bow outward and eventually fracture, it pushes against an arch. The arch redirects the force along the curved walls of the indent and outward into the thick glass at the bottle's sides. It's the same principle as a Roman arch in stone construction. The shape carries load in compression rather than tension, and glass is much stronger in compression. The punt didn't just reduce breakage. It allowed winemakers to make bottles thinner and lighter overall, because the base no longer needed to be a massive slab of glass to resist blowout. A modern champagne bottle still weighs around 900 grams empty. Without the punt geometry, it would need to be significantly heavier to handle the same pressure. That engineering trade-off is still relevant today. Now here's the angle most people miss: what the punt does to sediment in still wine. Red wines, especially older ones made without heavy filtration, throw sediment over time. Tannins and pigment molecules polymerize and fall out of solution as the wine ages, forming a gritty deposit at the bottom of the bottle. If that bottle has a flat base, the sediment spreads across the entire floor, and the moment you tilt the bottle to pour, all of it gets disturbed and flows into the glass. The punt changes this. The conical shape concentrates sediment into a tight ring at the lowest point of the flat rim around the punt's edge. When you pour carefully and stop before the bottle is fully empty, almost all of that sediment stays trapped in the concave well. It's passive filtration built into the geometry of the container. This is why serious Bordeaux and Burgundy still use deep punts, even though glassblowing technology hasn't required them since roughly 1900. The sediment management function is real and ongoing. Some winemakers will tell you the depth of the punt signal's quality. Deeper punt, more serious wine. There's some truth to this as a cultural signal. Cheap table wine often comes in bottles with shallow punts or flat bases. They're lighter, cheaper to manufacture, and easier to stack in automated filling lines. A bottle with a 30 to 40 millimeter punt depth reads as premium, and the industry has leaned into that perception hard enough that it's become self-reinforcing. The failure case here is instructive. In the early 2000s, several producers, particularly in the New World, Australia, and California specifically, started experimenting with flat-based glass as part of a broader push toward lighter packaging. Carbon footprint concerns were real. Shipping lighter bottles actually made environmental sense. Some producers reduced bottle weight from 900 grams down to 400 grams by using flat bases and thinner walls. For still wines without filtration issues, it worked fine mechanically. But consumer perception tanked. Focus groups consistently rated the exact same wine as lower quality when poured from a lighter, flat-bottomed bottle. The punt had become so embedded as a quality cue that removing it changed how people tasted the wine. A few producers reversed course entirely. The punt had transcended its function and become part of the product's identity. This pattern shows up constantly in object design. A feature gets invented to solve a practical problem. The practical problem eventually goes away or gets solved another way. But by then, the feature has accumulated secondary meanings, cultural signals, user habits, aesthetic expectations, and removing it costs more than keeping it. Think about the raised dots on the F and J keys of every keyboard. They exist because touch typists need to find home position without looking. Voice-to-text and autocomplete haven't changed that. The dots are still there, will probably always be there, because removing them would feel like something was wrong. Or the heel on a dress shoe, which started as a way for Persian cavalry to lock their feet in stirrups and ended up as a status symbol, and then a gender marker that has nothing to do with horses. The punt in a wine bottle is the same kind of object, a functional solution to a problem that outlived its original context by accumulating new meaning. It keeps sediment in place. It reinforces the arch under pressure. And it tells you, rightly or wrongly, that someone took the wine seriously enough to spend an extra 2 cents on the mold. That's 300 years of problem-solving and cultural drift packed into a hollow at the bottom of a bottle. If this is your kind of thing, the why behind the everyday, object theory drops new ones every week.